blood. Feel nothing that you do, or say, or steal, or dream up. You ever chase that? A girl like this. You shut up! Shut up! You shut up! Shut up!
As the UK economy enters a state of collapse, the people of this once great nation are left to ponder what went wrong. For years, the country has been considered a global powerhouse, with a thriving financial sector and a robust economy. But now, as the world economy takes a turn for the worse, the UK is facing its own crisis. The first signs of trouble began to appear in late 2018, when the housing market began to show signs of weakness. As prices started to fall, homeowners and investors began to panic. This led to a sharp decline in the value of homes, as well as a decrease in the number of people looking to buy or sell. As the housing market continued to decline, other sectors of the economy began to falter as well. The retail industry, which had been one of the UK's biggest sources of income, started to suffer as consumers became more hesitant to spend. This led to a sharp decrease in sales, as well as a rise in bankruptcies among small businesses. The situation continued to deteriorate throughout 2019, as the global economy began to slow down. The UK's manufacturing industry, which had been a major contributor to the country's growth, started to see a decline in demand for its products. This led to a decrease in production and a rise in unemployment. By early 2020, the UK economy was in a full-blown crisis. The stock market had fallen by more than 30%, and the country was facing its worst recession in decades. The government was forced to intervene, launching a massive stimulus package in an effort to boost the economy. But despite these efforts, the UK economy continued to decline. The Brexit crisis, which had been brewing for years, finally came to a head in the summer of 2020. As the country struggled to negotiate a deal with the European Union, businesses began to suffer even more. Many companies were forced to lay off workers and unemployment rates continued to rise. By the end of 2020, the UK economy was in a state of complete collapse. The stock market had fallen by more than 60%, and the country was on the brink of financial ruin. The government was forced to implement drastic measures, including nationalizing key industries and implementing strict austerity measures. As the people of the UK struggle to come to terms with the collapse of their economy, they can only hope that the worst is behind them. The road to recovery will be long and difficult, but with hard work and determination, the UK can once again become a global economic powerhouse. The UK economy has experienced several major crashes throughout its history, with the most notable being the Great Depression in the 1930s and the financial crisis in 2008. During the Great Depression, the UK economy was heavily dependent on exports, particularly to the United States. When the US economy crashed in 1929, demand for UK goods plummeted, leading to widespread unemployment and a sharp decline in GDP. The government responded with austerity measures, including cutting public spending and raising taxes, which further exacerbated the economic downturn. In 2008, the UK was hit by the global financial crisis, which originated in the US housing market. The crisis was triggered by a surge in subprime lending, which led to a wave of defaults and foreclosures. This, in turn, led to a collapse in the value of mortgage-backed securities, which were held by many major banks and financial institutions. As a result, many banks and financial institutions in the UK and around the world were forced to seek government bailouts to avoid bankruptcy. The UK government responded to the crisis with a series of measures, including cutting interest rates and implementing a fiscal stimulus package. These measures helped stabilize the economy and prevent a full-blown depression, but the recovery was slow and painful, with high levels of unemployment and sluggish growth. Overall, the UK economy has experienced several major crashes throughout its history, but has been able to recover thanks to a combination of government intervention and time. there are several signs that suggest the UK economy may be headed for a collapse. Some of these include the country's high levels of debt, sluggish growth, and the ongoing Brexit uncertainty. One of the biggest concerns for the UK economy is the high levels of debt. As of December 2018, the UK's total public sector debt stood at £1.7 trillion, which is equivalent to 86.5% of the country's GDP. This is a significant increase from the pre-financial crisis level of 40.4% of GDP in 2007. Furthermore, the UK's national debt is expected to continue rising, with the Office for Budget Responsibility forecasting that it will reach 91.2% of GDP by 2023. Another sign of potential economic collapse is the UK's sluggish economic growth. In the first quarter of 2019, the country's economy grew by only 0.5%, which is well below the expected growth rate of 1.8% for the year. This weak growth is being driven by a number of factors, including uncertainty surrounding Brexit and slowing global growth. Furthermore, the UK's productivity levels remain low, with the country ranking only 16th out of the 28 EU member states in terms of GDP per hour worked. The ongoing Brexit uncertainty is also contributing to the potential collapse of the UK economy. The country's exit from the European Union has caused significant uncertainty for businesses, leading to a slowdown in investment and a decline in exports. Furthermore, the UK's trade with the EU has decreased significantly since the Brexit vote, with exports to the bloc falling by £6.8 billion in 2018. Additionally, the UK's housing market is also showing signs of a potential collapse. The country's property prices have been on the rise for the past few years, but there are now concerns that the market is becoming overvalued. This could lead to a sharp decline in property prices, which would have a negative impact on the economy. Overall, the UK economy is facing a number of challenges, including high levels of debt, sluggish growth, and ongoing Brexit uncertainty. These factors are all contributing to a potential economic collapse in the near future. The UK is facing a number of challenges that could potentially lead to its collapse. However, there are steps that the government can take to prevent this from happening. One of the biggest challenges facing the UK is Brexit. The decision to leave the European Union has created uncertainty and instability, which has had a negative impact on the economy. To prevent the UK from collapsing, the government must work to secure a deal with the EU that allows for smooth trade and cooperation. This will help to restore confidence and stability, which will in turn help to boost the economy. Another challenge facing the UK is the rising debt levels. The government must take steps to reduce its deficit and bring its debt under control. This can be done through a combination of spending cuts, tax increases, and other measures. By addressing this issue, the UK can avoid a potential financial crisis and prevent its collapse. Additionally, the UK must address its aging population. As more and more people reach retirement age, the demand for social welfare services will increase. The government must work to reform its social welfare system to ensure that it can provide for the needs of the elderly and other vulnerable groups. Overall, the key to saving the UK from collapsing is for the government to take bold and decisive action. This may involve making difficult decisions, but it is necessary in order to secure the country's future. By addressing the challenges facing the UK, the government can ensure that the country remains strong and stable for generations to come.